Good afternoon, traders. I want to start off with a great thank you to all traders who contacted me recently. Um, I want to wish you all a happy new year. I think just wanted to make a new video today in regards to, the new year, how I'm helping a lot of traders, look at their trade setups, their charts, how they're trading. Um, I've been trying to do new videos in the last couple of weeks. It's just that maybe some of you know, my mom got the COVID. It got a bit complicated. She was hospitalized for like 11 days, which really complicated things. And thank God she's doing well now. She came back home. So I basically wanted to, you know, thank you for the ones who had contacted me and gave me positive vibes when it comes to, family and the situation the whole world is living with, the disease. First of all, if we just basically start off, really wanted to do a YouTube video on, you know, my trade setups, execution, the trade management. So a lot of traders came up to me and said, why don't you give us some context and, you know, show us your trade setups and what you look for and all that. So what I'm going to try to do today is give you a good wrap up of how I categorize my trade setups, um, what's the triggers and how I look for the context when it comes to trades. So, uh, again, don't hesitate to contact me on Twitter. Uh, I really do like to interact and give a lot of information to traders, and I think the the 10 to 20 trade setups videos that I'm preparing here, and I'm going to share through a private link with a lot of traders. I'm going to combine that with 8 hours of recording of market context that explains, my context and analysis and what I look for and how my charts are set up, why I use Sierra charts, which chart works for which setup, and all that. I'm gonna really go into detail with that. I'm trying to make these videos maybe 5 to 10 minutes each and not allow to really go over a lot of things and really focus on that trade setup and what I was looking for with that trade. I'm actually um, if you could if we could go through just my explanations now, I'm gonna give you a couple of trades that I just did recently. I recorded them and I gave it's kind of like the example of what I'm gonna cover with my trade setups and the videos that I'm preparing. Like I said, I'm willing to give this into a package with the 8 hours of market context coaching that I've recorded, and this way it'll be really good value for traders who want to or not only understand and trade with order flow, but also look at several trade setups that they could combine and look into trading. So just to start off with, I'm planning to categorize the trades, look at volume profile, DOM patterns, the context, footprint, how do I use imbalances, the day ranges, how and what does the market do within these extensions during the day, during the regular trading session. What does the market generally do? How much do these extensions to get to which extensions during the day? Clues like where I look for strength, how do I use delta pullback in my footprint, the momentum, the volume at price. All this is combined with DOM, footprint, market profile, and volume profile nuances, and I'm really gonna give a lot of information when it comes to the specific trade. Like how do we look for control? What elements have to be there for me to say, okay, now buyers are in control or sellers are in control? What triggers I'm looking for? What change in the whole price structure? Like what's volume doing? What's delta doing? The overall liquidity. It's going to be very important to kind of spend some time in front of a dome and look at the various elements here. Um, like I said, within all this, I'm giving the charts, the Sierra chart books. If any traders use Jigsaw, I'm willing to share my Jigsaw stuff. I've had a lot of traders who kind of gave me inspiration in which what they look for on Dome and all that. And I constantly change up the colors and the view, and I kind of like customize it to what I like and what I want to see. And I'm gonna go into all that in detail within uh, the the trade videos. Like I said, I'm planning really to do like at least 25 to 10-minute videos where I cover most of my trades and what I look for with each trade, and I'm gonna put that into a package. And like I said, I'm willing to give that to traders who want a direct message. They can send me a direct message through email, through Twitter, and I'm willing to give you a direct PayPal link where you guys could just interact with me, and I'll share all that information with you. Hopefully this will help. I'm really willing to you know give the full details of all my trade setups. How I look at ES, which clues give me to scratch the trade or basically continue with it, or kind of like, okay, let me see if I can get more information here and wait it out. I'm going to really cover all that. So hope this will help, and it will be a good value for most of you, and don't hesitate to contact me. So I'm going to cover a couple of trades here. So I'm just going to prepare all that video. These are recorded before, so I kind of went over a lot of trades that I do, and I always record my full day, the screen of the day. So I'm able to go back and see what I saw, what did I do, and why did I miss this trade. I should have really, you know, been more aggressive or manage this trade a bit better, And so this help. Hope this helps, and we'll keep in touch. And I'm preparing all the other videos, so just contact me privately if you want through Twitter and by email, and I'll give you feedback on that. So this is a trade here on the 6th of January 2021. Most of my trades will be really specific to recent market. I mean, I've got a lot of trades saying, I've got this course that I bought, and it's the market context of 2013, 2015, where a lot of the conditions in the market was totally different. The liquidity wasn't the same. Maybe the volatility could have been the same, but I mean, uh, when you look at footprint, order flow, and all that, if you compare 2013, 2015 market conditions today in 2021, it's totally different. I mean, back then you would see the the liquidity on the bids and the offers were like 300, 400, 500 at each price, and it almost felt like you were trading the bonds. If ever you've traded the bonds, or if you trade bonds from time to time, you know that the liquidity here. So by the way, this is the 10-year note, and then we've got the 2-year bonds. The reason why I put them up is I do from time to time trade them because they're very liquid, and you can get a very good momentum in the bonds and make 4 or 5 ticks pretty easily with 1 to 5 contracts. And again, it's also something that I discuss in my trade videos, where you know the market correlation with the bonds and ES and the crude. I mean, again, crude, I generally have it on another screen. I don't really like to trade it because crude's one of those markets where, you know, you really need to spend a lot of time in front of it and see and watch its nuances. Um, I think that with ES, NQ, and like the bonds, I've got enough trade setups and trade conditions to be able to make 5 to 10 trades a day and come out profitable. And if I start adding, crude, and then I start adding other instruments. It's just that at the same time trying to manage all that sometimes it does get tough, and if you were going to be managing different trades with different instruments, you need to really be pretty flexible and you know have that skill to be able to manage and multitask at the same time because I've been noticing that I've kept my domes this way with the ES with mostly NQ. I used to have the Russell and the YM, the Dow, just to give me like context when what they're doing in context and correlation with what the ES is doing. But I've noticed that it's kind of like playing around with my mind, and I kind of try to cut them off. And so I removed the Russell and the YM now. I kept it for a couple of months, just to see how I could do that. It's just that the Russell and the YM have so low liquidity that I believe if you want to trade them, instead of trading them, go and trade the NQ. Master NQ, learn its nuances, how to look for a pullback and add into momentum. These are various little elements that I'm going to really cover in detail when it comes to the trade videos that I'm giving, that I'm preparing basically. So let's try to look at this trade here on the 6th of January. The context here is that the market is doing all-time new highs, and there's decent buying strength at the moment where I enter the trade. But just before I enter the trade, I just want to cover how this video shaped up. I mean, what I did here is the beginning where if we just play it around, the market's doing its thing, and um, I'm seeing ES not really moving much at this price. So what I did is I'm just gonna fast forward a bit. I went and looked into my footprint charts here. Just gonna stop the video, and then the market profile. Just wanted to see like the last couple of days. Where did we have liquidity? How did the imbalances come out? I just try to look at the key areas where the market should most likely stop and give me clues to either continue lower or higher from that area. So I always have that market profile context, and I explain all this in the 8 hours of coaching that I've recorded already. And within all these other videos with my, the trade setups and what I look for my trades, I'm going to combine those 8 hours of context analysis. So I'm gonna give them on a private link, and this way the traders have access to watching all those videos plus the 20 trade videos that I'm gonna prepare. So this is the kind of example of a trade video that I'm gonna build here. I'm going to show you a couple of trades here. This way you guys have an example of what I'm looking for and the how, what I did with the trade, how I managed it, and all that. So here on this video, I'm looking at the market profile, just to see. This is a PNF 4-tick chart. Why is this good for the context and all that? I'm going to explain all that. So let's just fast forward a bit. Again, coming back to the trade, I'm just gonna go back. I think I missed a trade here. Let's look at it. So again, here, I mean, as you can see, I'm when I had this set up, I was playing around with the Russell and the YM because I don't really care about how they move. So I went and put it on another screen. It's just that sometimes when NQ is like going up, 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 and ES is doing nothing, it's sometimes a trigger to maybe not really, you know, put on a trade because maybe the markets are totally not correlated, but each market has its nuances when it comes to you know, uh, the volume, how the volume builds at each price. Again, I go into all the details of this with the videos. And here, quickly in the context, I had seen that the bonds had basically the bonds went up and then came back to their lows. So it kind of told me that the bonds weren't very redirectional. So that's a clue that maybe the ES won't be totally directional as well. So I'm gonna have to be careful to maybe not scale it into 3 to 5 lots right away, because in my general trading I like to scale into 1, 3, or 5 lots, and then I'll try to keep a runner and maybe look for a good 6 to 8 scalp on 2 or 3 lots. Again, all that comes in with how the market's moving. Is it moving with good volume? And you know, if I've got a very structural price where I know that this should be support and I'm seeing good buying coming in, I know that we've got momentum here, so I'm willing to scale into 1 to 3 contracts right away. Again, the context makes the whole thing very different from one trade to another, but the trade setup is generally the same. It's the same triggers that I'm looking for, and then it's just about when I took this trade, what happened, and what made me look for uh, 2 4 tick scalp, or what made me look for another pullback to enter long or enter short, and what made me think that I should just maybe try to look to scratch this trade, because even though the buyers were in control at the exact immediate time here where I'm in the trade, it's not really showing me momentum, and the momentum isn't maybe going to continue, and it's most likely going to rotate around. So these are little elements that I'm going to explain in all my videos here. So let's get to the trade here. So we're still in that 6th of January 2021. Again, the context of the day is we're making all-time new highs, and market went lower, explored lower prices, and then uh, decent buying came in aggressively, and it was not a day where you're looking to take any short bias trades. So my plan was to leg into 1 to 3 contracts, and I'm gonna follow through how I manage the trade. And not every trade is a home run, and it's not about making 500 or $1,000 on each trade, but it's kind of my objective. I'm not planning to make 25, $50 on each trade and take 100 trades per day, which is not what I'm looking for. And I do have good traders, friends who do like 100, 150 trades a day, and they're constantly looking for 12, $25, $50 ticks all day long. I mean, it's a different way of trading, but I think my way of trading is my average number of trades per day is like 5 to 10 per day. I'll have days where I'll do 3. I'll have days where I'll do 20, but my general average is 5 to 10, honestly. And I'm not planning to sit there all day, 8 hours, you know, on my butt, and start having issues with my body, because trading does start affecting your posture, your stress levels, and all that. So my goal is to make that 5 to 10 trades per day. Some days I know that, okay, this is gonna be a really fun day. It's gonna most likely be a day where I'm gonna have 15, 20 trades, and I'm a bit more energetic. I'm willing to spend a bit more time, but I honestly don't sit on um, the chair all day and watch markets for 8 hours. I record every day, but not planning to sit there 8 hours straight. Again, it's a personal choice. When I started trading, you know, back in 2006, and you really focus mostly in futures and all that after 2015, because I mean, I'm I have a different strategy for stocks and options, but I mean, since 2006, I've been trading and investing, and I've never really been that kind of person who wants to sit there all day and, trade like 8 hours straight. And no, it's pretty much, uh, a couple hours here, a couple hours there. I might skip the open, or I might just, trade the early 9:30 a.m. Eastern to 11:30 a.m. Eastern period, where I believe it's the best time to trade, honestly, because most afternoons it'll be either quiet, or the big volume has already stepped in early in the morning, and then the afternoon it's more rotational, and that's where a lot of traders kind of screw up, because they always expect that the market's going to continue being directional all day. And I think it's easier to focus on your trading when it comes to 9:30 to 11:30, and then call it a day. But I still do record the whole day session on my computer, and I will from time to time have afternoon 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. trades. The noontime could be tricky as well, but sometimes you could easily scalp 4 or 5 trades just in the noontime, like from 12 to 1 p.m. That's another trade. It's a totally different environment, and it's not something I do very often. So let's get to this trade. My plan was to scale into 1 to 3 contracts, and here we go. So let's look at it. I see this big order coming at, I mean, this trader here put up 115 lots. I said to myself, it's pretty bullish, and this guy is not here to spoof or anything. He's most likely willing to get filled. And I mean, if we just look at the liquidity here, honestly, this day there was not huge 80 or 100 lots on each price. So you got to be cautious of this kind of liquidity, just to make sure that what are the conditions, how has the market been in the last couple of days, and being at all-time new highs. And I saw Nasdaq being very strong as well, so I wasn't really looking for any kind of a short idea at all. And my plan is to join in with this momentum. And on this volume profile, so this is my um, jigsaw dome that I have here. And on this volume profile, there are very good trade locations just based off the volume profile here. Uh, Although we're going into all-time new highs, um, let's just say that the market needs to explore how volume is going to be building in that at these prices. So don't focus too much on uh, the volume at each price here. The context here is that markets exploring new prices, all-time new highs. Most likely, it's going to pull back and give us some more clues to how the buyers are stepping up. Um, at this level here, I think I went in and made a little change in um, my what is this here? It's the power meters that I use. So I generally have a power meter, and I wanted to basically make sure that when I go into a trade, it resets automatically, and it deletes the other orders I would have put in. So let's look at this here. So again, uh, all-time new highs, as we can see, the like there was a refreshing order at that 23. If you, I don't know if you guys saw that very quickly. Again, these are little things that my eye gets used to very quickly, because I've managed to watch the dome a lot. And yeah, I'm gonna cover all this in the trade videos. So that guy is still there. He's hasn't even moved. Not even, that I'm saying what that guy, but it's most likely a bunch of traders, or he could actually be one big guy as well. I mean, I don't really care who it is, and how many they are, because a lot of traders focus into like too many little details like this. Again, the context here is all-time new highs. Buys are aggressive. This guy's not here to spoof. He's willing to go in, participate. He wants to move the market. And as the market gets there's a little volume that hit into it, and there's still, like a decent volume that stayed at that price. I quickly put uh, a sell order. I generally do that just to, to see how volume is building as we're moving lower here. Um, I mean, I'm just gonna show you how I moved that buy order from. I just want to take it lower because I thought that by the volume that was coming down, the most likely trade setup here is that the market wants to still explore some of these prices, and I'm willing to add into it. I generally want to add in 1 to 3 contracts. As you're gonna see here that this trade I didn't manage it very well, but although I still came out of it with profitable, what I did here is I quickly moved one. I put in a sell order right there just to see if one of my contracts would hit it. But my goal is not to really let it hit. I generally look at how volume builds, which kind of volume moves around here, and then if I see that I have conviction it's going to go higher, I'll just remove it right away quickly. And again, this all comes to knowing how to use the DOM quickly, managing trades, removing, adding, scaling in and out. Uh, Again, it's time. It's with practice and time that you're going to get to that level where you're just going to quickly know where to add your buy limits, where you want to add. Uh, at this point, I'm not really focusing on how these bids are adding up or stacking. I do have the stack meter here. This will most likely be very useful when there's a lot of liquidity. So we're looking at 80s and 90s and 100s here, which is not the case in this day here. But the liquidity was a bit lower. What happens is sometimes at the open, the liquidity does kind of look like it's low, but then once the market starts really moving, the liquidity changes. So these are one of the triggers that I like to look at, how liquidity is moving from during the day. And let's look at this trade again. So at this level, let's see, like I don't even see any 100 lots move into these prices. I just saw an 85. You know, that's already something that's telling me that this move down doesn't have a lot of strength. We saw 100 move into that 22, but that was an uptick. So I'm looking for an occasion to add here, which I missed, and I let that sell order get triggered. Wanted to see if that was like a $50 trade where I just wanted to see if I can get that um, profit there. Again, the sellers are not they're not convincing me here that they want to move this market lower. As you saw earlier, that 24 had 100 volume built into it, so that's telling you that this market is not going to crash all of a sudden. It's not going to go, I don't know, 3 4 points against me. There's high odds that it's still a good market to look for a pullback to go in. And this is the kind of stuff that you don't see on a chart, right? That's why chart is really good for context. We're not here to trade based off just the chart. I used to do that, and I believe once you really know what the market's doing here, what kind of volumes building at each price on the DOM, there are a lot of elements that are gonna easily give you a trade where quickly if you should scratch it, scratch it, or take your profits quickly, or add to it, scaled into it. Again, you can't do that with a chart. I mean, sorry for those who just look at candlestick patterns and all that, but I mean, that's all context. You are not looking at what the market is really doing. You're not looking at how participants are banging into the offers or hitting into the bids. How are these sellers? Are they aggressive? What kind of volume is building into all these? It's totally clear on the dome. I'd say clear 90% of the time. There are days where you're like, what the heck's going on, man? This is either very poor liquidity, low volume, no conviction in the moves. So those are the kind of days where, like, okay, as an order flow trader, one of the most important elements is volume, right? If we don't have volume, you could, look at footprint, chart. I don't care what you look at, a volume profile or market profile. Most likely, if there's no decent volume, there's not enough conviction, so your trade might not work out because all the elements of order flow are not there. So I got back into another long trade here. In this trade, you're gonna look at where I'm putting all these um, buy limits. I did that just to really show on the video that there are days where you want to scale in, you want to be a passive, you want to be let the market come back to give you a better entry. And I'm not planning to scale into 15, 20 contracts in this trade here. It's just all about me showing you guys where I would put my buy limits and how I move them around. And again, this trade here, I I think I could have done better. I could have scaled in a bit more aggressively on this trade, but and again, it lasted for a while, so I'm gonna most likely fast forward it just a bit, just to show the elements of the trade here and see why and what I did. So let's look at it here again. um, I'm putting in the buy limits, also looking at the volume, how volume is printing, just to show you, quickly which areas I would look to scale into this, and I'm moving them around a bit just to convince myself that this market is not a seller's market. Any pullback should be bought. This guy here at 22.75, big volume here on the depth, the bid here, and let's see how that triggered. So they again, I quickly move up a sell limit just to at least if it moves up very quickly, I'll have one or two um, trades they're gonna take profits. A lot of traders don't have those sell orders right away just to quickly trade. Like I said, I'm planning to scale into 1 to 3 contracts here, and if I put one or two at that price, if the market just moves really fast, I don't mind being taken out and you know getting that limit order executed just to give me some profit in the trade, and then I'll just look for a pullback to give me another scale in 1 or 2 contracts again. It's all about scaling in and out and looking at the order flow, what's really going on, how the volume is building. So again, here I I have an account where I could add up to 20 to 50 lots if I want, and I don't generally trade 20 to 50 lots. Believe me, my whole purpose is to scale in small size, 1 to 3 to 5 contracts. It's definitely enough, guys. A lot of guys are over leveraging. They're putting in 3, 5, 10 contracts all at once, and I've done that in the past too. And it just kind of like gives you a lot more stress than anything else. Rather get good at scaling in 1 to 3 contracts and you know take your profits. Look, I said I put a sell order right away just to convince myself that I'm still in the right direction. If the market just moves fast, it's not about always being perfect on the trade management. It's about making money. The first goal of a trader is to make money and not lose money. So if you're limiting your losses and always taking profits at, decent 4 to 6 to 8 ticks rotations in ES, I believe that's a very good way to be efficient and not have, a lot of losing trades. Because the error some traders will do is not have that order, and then when the market pulls back, they've already given back 6 to 8 ticks of profits, and then they'll end up making, I don't know, 2 or 4 ticks when the market gave them 6 to 8 ticks. So let's look at this. Continue with the trade here. So again, It's gonna move up a bit, so I can scale around with the centering of the domes. This is jigsaw that allows, special some little nice nuances that I like about it. So let's look at the trade here. The market just moved quickly lower, and you know, I mean, quickly lower, meaning that I'm still good with the overall context here. Um, it built some volume here, low volume here, high odds. It wants to fill and give us some kind of a pullback into it. I'm willing to, give it some room and let it play out. Because again, we're in an environment where the market's making all-time new highs and the liquidity isn't huge, right? We don't see any 80, 100 bids here. Um, let's continue here. Yeah, you see that was 60, 50, moved into 2250. That's quickly a sign that for me, okay, like either I would move these buy limits a bit lower because this thing might actually just come a bit lower and come into, you know, discovery mode where it wants to basically fill in the volume here. And like I haven't seen 100 really hit into any price yet, so that's already a clue that it's not. Well, we just saw 100 there move into 23 was an uptick again, so that's a way of me saying, okay, this is most likely not going to give me this decent pullback and come back into this area. So I should actually be looking to scaling into another one or two contracts here long right here. So it's moving up again, moving up with mid-size, nothing huge on the tape, but then we've got some nice buys that came in, as you can see, and look at that. That they were really above the ask. A little clues on the tape here that's telling me that forget it, man. This thing most likely will not give me a decent size pullback. And here at this level, I only have one contract long, and I should have been a bit more aggressive when it pulled back in this area with low volume. It didn't even print 100 lots or anything, nothing convincing on the sell side. So and then what happens here is it most likely, I think, if I'm not mistaken, takes my order out and makes a new all-time high, and then the price and the trade is over. So what I did is if it was going to come back and get into this area, I was willing to add another long just to give me another move up. And what happens is if it comes and tags this up going up, I'll manage the train when it's going up and then see how we go up. If it's not really giving me a conviction, I'll quickly move my two contracts to break even, or even one break even plus one, just to not end up really losing on this trade. And then I'd rather come back, let the market pull back, and maybe give me a decent entry at these levels, because my conviction is that we've got some kind of rotation that will occur here. So I'm just gonna fast forward quickly. Um, the 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 market did actually come up and never really tagged my seller. So I expected it to come in and tag my buy limit here. I was very patient with this trade because the context was that yes, it's still in this overall high volume area, and nothing is convincing me that the sellers have some kind of control over this area now. And if I if I fast forward quickly, I'm just gonna do this way. Look at the market now. It's gonna come and it's just gonna move up pretty fast, and then I let the market kind of like I put that two lots to sell quick because I didn't see the market move very quickly, and I said, you know what, let's just get out of this trade and maybe look for a decent pullback. But that was an error because what happened is we started printing a lot of volume after I got out of the trade, and that's where the market just banged in and made new highs. It's just continuing to go higher. So it's built a lot of volume here in this area, and it's not even coming back to explore this area at all. Definitely not looking to short this market. Um, There was no, you know, no real element to look for a short. I mean, guys, when you see this kind of price action, I don't care if, the market has just, let's just try it quickly. I don't care if the market has, let me show the color here. Sometimes the market does something like this, right? Uh, it's doing this, doing this, coming in, doing that, and then doing this. This, in these conditions that we have with all-time new highs, this kind of volume, not even coming in back into this not even exploring back into this low volume area, don't even think of shorting. It's just, you know, the buyers here are taking some profits. No real sellers stepping in. Although on a chart it looks like maybe the sellers are stepping, but it's not real selling. Believe me, real selling would not really be very clear on a chart, but on a dome it is. It'll be 270. It'll be 200, 300. Get this 71 out. Take this guy out. Move up a 2, 3 ticks, and then come back. Take this guy out very quickly, very easily. These are little elements that you want to see, and that's where you're like, okay, the move that we're seeing here is real selling, And if you don't see it on a dome, although you might see it on a chart, forget it. Chart is only good for context. It's always going to give you a bias to look for a short if, you've got a triple top and the market's basically hitting it and going lower. It's just because all this buying, we've got the buyers absorbing some of the small selling that's coming. There's most likely a trader here that's absorbing and wants to move the market higher. So it's not a context where you're looking for a sell. Okay, and again, at all-time new highs, don't even think of it. Okay, so I fast forwarded a bit and I had a second trade on, again, we're still on the same day with, all-time new highs. We were at the 22s and then we're at the 30s now. The market's just really, I mean, if you just quickly look at the dome here, I mean, um, we saw uh, some, like on a diagonal basis, this is most likely 101 to 139, and then sellers came in quickly, a bit more aggressive at these levels, and the market moved up very quick. It's already a clue that even though it looks like the sellers were, hitting the bids and the volume was, I mean, the volume that was being printed looks good, how come the market's still going higher? That's already a clue that, look, don't even look to sell. Okay, so you're always looking to add into a pullback with, low volume uh, into certain areas based off the volume profile. And let's look at the trade. So I'm gonna let it play 30 to 40 seconds here, and I'm looking for an opportunity to go long. Look at how the buyers just swept all that. Again, no real selling coming in. Look at how the volume is printing at that level, that 31. So we're focusing our eyes on that 31 here. We got some absorption, Uh, let's not look to buy right away, but that 31 one got lifted. So even if it was absorbed, these sellers are having a really hard time to even give us a 46 46 ticks pullback here. And if you could see quickly, big orders came in right there. Uh, Now, as you can see, compared to what we had on the liquidity on the order book a bit earlier, we had a lot of 20s and 30s, and now constantly 60s, 70s, 99s, 100s, and for some reason, sometimes my jigsaw dome does that. I don't see for some reason the order book here on the offers. It's like a little glitch, so don't worry about that. And if you look at gold and crude here, uh, the the order book is totally different, right? Nothing compared to ES. And if you look at the bonds here, it's huge liquidity. And I'm constantly looking at how the bonds are doing. And with this day, the bonds had opened much higher, and they're they're still at the lows of the day. Already a very good clue that there's money coming into you know the stock market, and maybe some kind of rotations out of bonds. So risk is on. The traders or institutions, who the hell is buying here, they're most likely long biased. And again, look at that. Here I'm like, I want to go in here. Look at the refreshing orders here. Look at that guy, how they're aggressive. A lot of traders are always like, oh, I want to see icebergs and this and that. You see it on the dome. This guy just refreshed like 4 or 5 times. Um, that was it. That guy told me that there's decent bidding behind this market. So I quickly stepped in, had a quick 2 lots that got triggered. Put my sell order right away. I just want to make 2 4 ticks on this trade quickly. Join in with the momentum because it's a momentum trade, right? I know that the buyers are here, and honestly, I wanted to hit the market with two, maybe get a pullback, 3 4 tick pullback, have 4 to 5 lots here ideally, and I'm putting a bit more buy limits here, but I'm not planning to use the whole, let's say, 8 to 10 lots and move this up 5 points. My goal is to get the 4 or 5 lots here and quickly put some sell orders at the 34s to 35s. My plan is to have rotations within 6 to 8 ticks, and if I can get 4 or 5 lots and make 4 to 6 ticks quickly. That's easy, 300, $400, and maybe keep one runner if that runner could give me another, 6 to 8 ticks move up. That's my plan with this kind of trade. It's a momentum based trade. And that, look at this, we're gonna take this offer out very quickly, and the market just continues. 168 prints there. The volume is good, and I'm willing to now. Look, I mean, I already made a little nice profit on the previous trade, and I'm willing to now take 1 lot because the market's done at least a 4 or 5 point move up here. That's what that's like 15, 16 ticks, let's say, which is out of the ordinary. I mean, it has to give me a pullback here, and I'm willing to, only take 1 lot here, and then here, I, that 1 lot is still there, and I'm debating if I should move it, and I quickly put in a sell order here because I've got 1 lot that I hit the market with because I'm like, if I wait for this pullback, I think I'm not even gonna get the trade to go. So I hit in with 1 lot, and let's see how that played out. And I could have taken this sell order off right away, but sometimes the momentum is just too strong that I couldn't, you know, give myself an extra tick there. So I'll let that move play out. Quickly, let's see here. We've got 424 that hit that price, right? Again, it's not like, oh, I see 424, there's an imbalance here, it's short. No, man. Like, this context is not even. This is the first time we see some kind of big volume hit on the bids here with like 424 compared to 563 and 3. I just want to see how the market, again, this is all about context and what's going on right now. So that 34 for me is quickly an area that I want to monitor if this is an area where sellers are stepping in. If I can see some kind of absorption or refreshing offer, something that gives me clues, and I'm gonna go really in detail with all this when I go over my, you know, the other trade videos that I'm going to prepare. Again, this is a context where I'm not really looking to sell at all. It's just little clues. And look at that, look at that, look at that. that refreshing order, the 100 there, the 34. I mean, if that was a real seller, this guy is supposedly needing to maintain the market lower, right? And even him, even if it's one seller or institutions or someone taking profits, we're basically not even getting 4 to 6 ticks rotations lower. So when you see this kind of stuff, um, as a seller, let's say you had a plan to look to sell, or let's say the context where that the market wasn't making all-time new highs here. I mean, this context here, it's not conviction. It's not convincing me that at all I should not even look to sell. And uh, in NQ had stalled earlier because I'm looking at the right side on my chart here that day, and because I have notes for all these little trades, and NQ had basically kind of like stalled after making a new high. It was a little clue that maybe I might have to wait a bit on ES to get some kind of a decent pullback, but look how the 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 stacking on the bids here, very decent. I mean, they're coming in. You clearly see them stacking here, and the market just continued doing all-time new highs here. You know, at some point, what's going to happen is, we're most likely going to rotate after seeing some kind of absorption. And like, let's say this 100 guy just, it went through him, right? It went through, and now there's getting a bit more volume here. So this 36 to 38 area is a clue for me. I generally take notes quickly. I just want to see how we trade back into this area. And you know, let's see how like this 82 drops, comes back right away, two ticks, 3 ticks, and this 36 defended, and again, how is the volume as we move up? No, 100 printed that 37, and I think now just seeing this kind of action, we're like, okay, um, the market has done a huge move up. Um, my my plan is to not even look to sell. It's only to see when I can get into a pullback to buy. Look at this 35. Okay. And again, all this is quick in my mind, right? I've trained myself to see this quickly, and I know where I want to do business. And again, having, my footprint, my charts like this. Again, this is the context of the 15th of January here, but just to show you that having this on another screen here on the right side also tells me that, where am I compared to the previous day? It's always about where could I add to this? What's the immediate control of the market? I don't need to see any chart to prove myself that this is a buyer's market. So this is another trade that worked with momentum here. I'm gonna give you guys another trade here where it's a bit different the context, and I generally want to go over the details of this. If you guys really do appreciate this video here, please make sure to comment, contact me through Twitter, and I'd, I'd really like to see what kind of commentary and feedback I can get from all this. And I'm gonna get to another trade here. Okay, so this is the 7th of January. The context here is compared to the previous day, we basically made another 30 points in the overnight. The market pulled back here in the day, so it went up like the 3,800 and pulled back 6 7 points here. And what I wanted to do is I focused on this 93 to 96 area, and I wanted to. That was a very clear area from the overnight where I wanted to see how the market trades back into that area and how if again if buyers could defend that area, a very contextual trade where high odds 80 to 90% of the time this area will be defended, and I go into the specifics of what I was looking for with that day and what made it very clear that this area was to be focused for the RTH. Um, so again, uh, I, I took this specific trade because compared to the two previous trades here, look at the liquidity here. I mean, huge difference compared to the previous day. Look at how now this time on my depth here on the sell orders on the offers here. Um, I could clearly see how the big numbers are coming out. There's huge liquidity, very different compared to the 6th of January. So, I mean, the conditions will vary a bit, and the volume that prints at each price will be totally different compared to a day where there's a low liquidity. So, I'm I'm quickly making that adjustment, knowing that okay, it's not the same conditions from yesterday. I need to focus on really key areas and really monitor the order floor just to make sure that, uh, let's say I'm in a long trade and then all of a sudden the like really sellers are hitting the bids very aggressively. I need to know when to cut the trade or get out very quickly just to, you know, not get that momentum running really fast in a fast manner against me. And in this trade, I'm looking for a long opportunity and to focus on this 92 and 96 area again. I think I was a bit more aggressive on this trade. I'll go into the details here once I play it. It's like a 4 or 5 minute trade video here. So basically, again, let's just look at the volume here. 2360s, focusing this 9350 area. I want to see how we hit into these offers and if we can get some kind of a pullback to confirm. Look at this refreshing order at this 93 quickly. Like, okay, I want to join here because that refreshing order told me that, high odds were most likely to maybe rotate, max 2 3 ticks around here, and it could give me a nice push up. That's my focus here, and I'm looking at, you know, how the volume builds. Are we even moving like 3 4 ticks here? Not even. Look at this guy here at 160, 170. He's keeping it. I'm putting my solar already quickly just to get, a quick profit on the trade. I think I'm long three here, trying to get out at this area just to see if we can hit the V block here and maybe get a pullback and get some buying, and then I'll add another 2 or 3 to push through the 96s, maybe eventually go higher. And again, this kind of worried me there, that 288 that printed at that volume, that price, sorry. So I'm quickly looking at that and like, okay, should I just bail out now and maybe wait for uh, an opportunity to get, you know, um, tagged lower here. But even if it goes lower, that's where I want to see how it goes lower. If it goes lower with like huge sweeps and the sellers are just hitting the bids, I'll most likely remove those the buy limits as well. But again, my plan is not to let this move all the way back here and then add to the trade. I'm most likely going to cut it very quickly around this 92 or 92.75 to limit my losses, because if it starts getting momentum right after this nice bell curve, high odds it's going to come in and rotate or even go lower very quickly. So the reason why I put these buy limits is it's always to show you guys where I would look to add to my trades. And again, I do that in all my trades just because since I'm recording and all those trades, I want to go back and do a trade video on it. So it's just quickly to tell you where where I want to add. If this, I would bail out of this and I would go and look for buying opportunity at these levels. Again, doesn't mean that I'll bail out and then as soon as I get his or gets it to this price, I'll just buy. It's not how it works. It's just really demonstrating you guys that my plan is biased on one side. I'm not looking to short here. I want to go and have a passive strategy around. I want to let the market come to this area and I want to buy that. And I explain the specifics of which areas and why and all that in my videos. So let's continue with this trade. Hope this is helping, by the way, because I'm going into a lot more detail with some trades, and um, again, I'm going to cover most of the details with the other trade videos, and really, I really appreciate it if you guys could give me feedback on the comment section. So here, again, 17 for no real conviction, 168, 191. And then I just want to see like, okay, well, 168, 191 printed there. How come the market didn't go lower? Is there something that's going on here? Let's see if we could see any passive buyer here, real low. Let's see if he's there. 160, 23, 42. This guy is not getting hit. The bids, I mean, 100. Look, that it dropped to 84. That already kind of worries me that this actually might not work out. So again, let's continue. Oh, okay, the conviction is lower. We went up one tick. 56 printed there. 62. Okay, now we have a refreshing limit order here that refreshed. I don't know if you guys saw that quickly. 122, 126. This guy is refreshing at the 93s. Nothing that's telling me to the bail out of this trade right away. I think all of a sudden the 190, 126 moved up. If we can go back a bit, we were at 98 at this 93, and 117, and then we're gonna see 100 and something here, and then this is gonna go up as well. These are very quick clues. Look, 113, 117, 98. All right, we tick up 126, and look at this guy move up 122. All right, so we know that we've got buyers interested here. So nothing 200 now. This guy hasn't even moved up. Hasn't moved. Nothing changed here, and then boom, we move up. So these are little clues that telling me that okay, that guy, these traders who are at this price are interested to buy. They're refreshing, call it icebergs or whatever. I mean, you don't need another indicator showing you where icebergs are or absorption occurs. Quickly on the dome, you do see them. Just spend 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 months in front of the screen. Record your domes if you have a dome with a Sierra charts or if you have Jigsaw. And again, if ever you're interested in, the full details of each platform and how I use it and all that, the chart books and the workspaces, just email me or mostly contact me on Twitter, and I'm willing to share that. And you know, again, my whole purpose is to really interact and have you know a, a good community of traders where we can interact and learn from each other. And again, my sell orders right there. Um, you know, the plan was to really leg into maybe 3 to 6 contracts in this area, push it up to the 96s, and if I can get a runner, move it up to maybe the round number again here at the 1-800s. Because don't forget, the market did go through the 1-800. It went up to like 38.05, I believe, and then pull back to this 93, 96 area, very specific area where I wanted to see if buyers would defend that, and that's exactly what happened. So my whole trade setup and trade location is perfect, and I just manage the trade because I want to see buyers stack up and refresh and kind of like take control at this area, which is exactly what happened. And the full details of what I look for on the footprint when it comes to this trade setup, I'll go into the details in my other videos. And like I said, I'm willing to package that with the other 8 hours of recording that I have for the context of what I look for with market profile, footprint, delta pullback, what kind of information delta gives me, how do I use the imbalances and all those clues. That is really good for the context and trade location, and then the trade management and the execution part is where I cover all this within the trade videos. Okay, so let's just finalize this trade. I think, I mean, 100, 150. I'm at this point, I'm convinced that this thing is gonna get triggered. And it's just gonna go through it, and I let the trade go through. So that was a decently easy trade that gave us, you know, a good 6 to 8 tick rotation, right? Again, if you study the market, the ES, how it works, NQ, how it rotates, once you really spend a lot of time and dissect the full details of your market that you're trading, it's going to be a lot easier to define edges and rotational areas in your market. And the high odds is what we're looking for. No trade uh, will work 100% of the time. There will always be moments where, you know, uh, whatever trade setup or location you've got, it's gonna fail 10 to 20% of the time. Our goal as a trader is to make money, to really manage the risk. I want to make this very clear. The whole point of trading is to minimize your risk, minimize your losses, and really focus on the immediate term of what's going on right now. I don't care if this is support. I mean, on the chart, 3790 could be support, and I don't know, 30,800 could be on your any time frame or any time frame for resistance and support. That's context. On a chart, the context is totally different compared to support and resistance when it comes to footprint. You know, there are levels on the footprint that will constantly give you clues to where the buyer stepped in, where the seller stepped in. I go into the details of all this within the coaching that I have. It's gonna help a lot of traders to at least give you contextual areas, and you know I'm giving you like real live information that you know, I combined from different mentors and traders that I met throughout my what is it, since 2006. I met a lot of traders and mentors, and they kind of all gave me little clues and you know stuff that I combined. And then at some point what did is I perfected it all this, and I said to myself, what works 80 to 90% of the time, that's what I want to focus on. If I can get stuff that works 70 to 80 to 90% of the time, the 10-20% where it doesn't work, I'll figure out a way to manage my risk and losses and not have more than 150 or $200 of losses on ES. I mean, if ever you're losing on an ES trade and it's more than 150 or $200, believe me, you've got something that's wrong in your whole trade management and your trade setup. There's something wrong. You should never really lose more than 150 or $200 on any given trade on ES. NQ is different. You might get caught with a huge sweep and you could lose 200, $300. I mean, again, on NQ you should really never take more than 30 tick stop loss. I mean, I'm not saying that on NQ should have a stop loss. I mean, that whole thing is very personal. Each trader, depending on their account size and their account size and the volatility of the market at that time, is going to have a huge impact on how to manage your stops. But if the market's giving you a clue that's buyers are in control, why should you put a buy order here and put a stop at, I don't know, 2 or 3 ticks? You shouldn't even put your stop quickly. You know that the buyers are. The whole point is now to manage the profit. If the market's moving up and it's moving up with huge volume, look for a pullback to buy and another push up at least 4 or 5 ticks. If you could leverage that and have a trade account size that could give you 1, 3, 5 lots, even if it's micros. I mean, at the end of the day, the whole point is to always try to keep 1 or 2 runners for a nice home run move that will extend over beyond 6 to 8 ticks. The whole point is to not lose on the trade. I mean, I'm getting a lot of traders that are buying here, the market moves up, and then they're like, oh, my stop is all the way down here. But you should have looked for clues here to not even maybe get your stop to be triggered. Because if you're seeing like 200, 300, 400 banging into these bids, all of a sudden something just changed. Maybe just bail out right away or scratch that trade because you should be very reactive when you see that kind of stuff. You don't want to be looking to buy and all this selling comes in very strongly and your stop is all the way here and you've got three lots on and you're gonna get a stop that's gonna trigger. That's like 4 points, like a $600 loss. That's terrible. That's not how you should be trading. And if you really are trading that way, I totally suggest that we have a discussion. Send me a email or you know a text or a message on Twitter, and let me give you more information and maybe really do take the coaching videos that I'm gonna provide. Every trader I've helped, there isn't one trader that's said that this was not good or the context did not help them. Um, I'm very proactive and I'm willing to help every trader when it comes to you know, their trade setups and their footprint, their order flow analysis, understanding. And again, I think with these videos, it's gonna help a lot of traders, and I'm willing to be very, uh, like it's going to be very clear and I'm willing to really help and not, there's no BS in what I'm explaining here. It's legit. It's totally me, my trades, what I looked for. I mean, if that trade didn't work out or worked perfectly, I always give, more information of what I should have done, and maybe in this trade here I didn't manage it very well. I do give all the details, but overall my trading is not to make 20 points on one lot. You know, that kind of trading is where the market moves up 10 points in your favor, let's say, or even 10 ticks, and then pull back and you're at break even or your stop is all the way here, you're still super biased to the long side. I think each trade has its trade management, and swing trading during the RTH, especially since 2016, let's be honest, with all the news feeds now on Twitter and everyone tweeting out what's going on. I think it's gotten a bit more volatile, and the swing trader intraday, look at it, maybe 10 to 15% of days you could have a swing trading opportunity, but I believe the market is made in a way where structurally there are good areas to focus on, and these areas will provide 70-80% of good trade location and give you a great way to manage risk, and always have some kind of profit out of the trade. And there are days where I'll make 5 to 10 trades and maybe 50 to $100 on each trade. Nothing's perfect. You'll have at that exact trade, I might have bailed out a bit too early because I saw a 200 print, and then the market really never, the buyers never really stepped in a aggressive manner and to really build the momentum higher. So I kind of managed that trade to get out quickly. It's again, each trade has its details and its characteristics. Sorry, and the whole point is to record each trade and categorize it. That's why I'm going over these trade videos where I'm categorizing my trade setups, why I took this trade, what's the context of the market, what clue did the footprint or the delta or the what triggered me to look for a long or a short, and the relative change in price, the volume, what's Delta doing, how's the volatility and the liquidity, what's moved the market in the last couple of days, how was the overnight, all the full details are in my coaching videos, and I hope this will help. And I'm really looking forward to getting your feedback and we'll look into I'll share those private links with traders, and don't hesitate to contact me.